Everyone. And you're all very welcome to our Boost4Health deep dive webinar into the Irish life sciences ecosystem and the Irish healthcare system. And this is an Interreg Northwest Europe event. My name is Ewan Cunningham. I'm from WestBIC, the Business Innovation Centre for the West and the Northwest of Ireland, and I'll be your host for today. We in WestBIC, we deliver high quality, investor ready enterprise development support to innovative high growth startups and scale ups in our region, many of which are life science and medtech companies. And we are one of the 11 partners in the Boost4Health programme from 7 European countries, and you'll hear a bit more about that from Ria shortly. Just a few housekeeping matters. This meeting is recorded. The presentations will be made available afterwards to participants. Your mics are muted, but please put your questions in the Q&A chat, not in the other one, but in the Q&A chat at the bottom of the screen, and we'll make every effort to put your questions to the speakers. And any questions we don't get to, we'll endeavour to respond to them afterwards. And then the last section, which I wouldn't like any of you to miss in today's meeting, is a short opportunity for SMEs and service providers to make their short 30-second pitches to the audience. And just to let you know that this meeting was originally scheduled to take place in Galway, in the west of Ireland, where we'd planned to extend a warm welcome to our European partners. But we were forced by COVID-19 to have this event online. And the plan at that time, and it still is, was to present the Irish life science ecosystem and an overview of the Irish healthcare system to our partners, and to try and make connections as well between Irish SMEs and service providers and their counterparts in the countries that are participating in this program, which are France and Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Belgium, and the UK, and of course ourselves in Ireland. So if you're a life science medtech SME from any of these countries, or indeed a service provider from any of those countries, you're in the right place. So without any further ado, I'll start with our first speaker. And I'll introduce you to Ria, who some of you might have heard speaking a minute ago, who is the Programme Manager of Life Sciences and Health at Brabant Development Agency in the Netherlands. And she's also Project Leader for this Boost4Health Interreg programme. So Ria will provide an overview of the project. So I'll hand over to you, Ria. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I will try to share my screen. Okay, I think you should stop sharing your screen, because otherwise I cannot.
Neve needs to unshare.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the nice introduction, and you already mentioned some interesting things about the Boost4Health project. Well, I still cannot share my screen because the basic screen is still shared.
Neve, can you unshare the that's the one.
Okay,
thanks.
Perfect. Let's see, because now I have a different view. It's always a challenge with this technology stuff, and see how it works. Well, now is something happening. If it's correct, you can see my screen. I want to have a full screen, but yeah, okay, there it is. But now it starts at the end. That's not what I want. Wait, go to the top. Because, well, I have a very short presentation, but not that short. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, you already mentioned the participating countries in the Boost4Health project. To introduce myself, you could also read it on the website. I'm working at the Brabant Development Agency in the south of the Netherlands, and working already for a long time also in European projects. And what we try to achieve is to help our companies in our region to get cross-border and international connections. Sometimes in a region, there is an SME and they want to work together with a knowledge provider or with someone who can just deliver disposables or has some different questions and cannot find it in their own region, or can find it in their own region, but maybe sometimes it's too expensive, or they have specific qualities they are looking for. So then the Boost4Health project comes in, because maybe we can help with another partner. And with a little bit of an incentive, people can start collaborate. So these are the regions who are involved. And if you are an SME in one of these regions, then you can apply for a voucher. And you can work together with service providers in the whole Northwest Europe. So in France, in Germany, in the whole countries where the regions are located. So that's good to know. And what we try to do is stimulate international growth. So especially in the life science and health sector, everyone knows it's a global sector. You should not focus on your own region or on your own country, because sometimes the amount of patients is not high enough or other obstacles. You have to look at it at a global view. We want to increase the TRL levels of the companies, so that those are the technology readiness levels. That's the definition of the European Commission. Well, it's not this important at this moment, but it's really about getting products to the market in the end. So we want to fasten the market introduction, and we also want to aim for creating of new jobs within the SMEs we help. Just to be sure, I want to give some terminology and some definitions about the words we use. An SME, well, small, medium-sized enterprise, everyone knows. It's the European definition we take care of. So it's maximum 250 FTE persons in a company. A service provider is an organization that provides a service. So that's actually a word we come up with ourselves, but it's a collaboration partner in another region. The growth intermediary is our local contact person. So that's me for Brabant, and that's Unen for the part of Ireland. But there are also other local contact persons. You can all find them on our Boost4Health website. Here you can find also the website address, boost4health.eu, and you can find the contacts over there. If you have a question, you can contact your own local contact person. Within Boost4Health, we have 3 activities. So we have, a support network, we have some coaching, so we can really help one-on-one companies with their internationalization plans. We create matchmakings. Well, at the COVID times, it was a little bit more difficult, but we tried it also online. And we have some microfinancing in place via vouchers. And I really want to go into the voucher part today. We have 2 types of vouchers. We have connection vouchers up to 500 euros, and we have support vouchers up to 1,500 euros. We understand that these are not very big amounts, but see it as a little bit of a sewing money that could help you making the next step. In the next slide, I will give some examples about where you can use this money for. The eligibility criteria are that you should be an SME located in one of the Boost4Health regions. So you have seen the map, so you could also see if you were one in, located in these regions. You should work in the field of health, biotechnology, medical technology, e-health. We have a very broad definition. And that's a little bit of administrative thing. Well, these vouchers are not so very high, but if you had a lot of grants in the past, then you should check that you're not above the de minimis ceiling, because there are regulations from Europe that as a company, you cannot receive a higher amount than, I think the number was 200,000 euros in the past 3 years. So you should check if these vouchers are not above this ceiling, but the numbers are not so high. So I think usually it should fit. If you look at the connection vouchers, they were 500 euros. You could use them to pay for entrance fees for online events. I mean, that's very actual at the moment. You can also use these fees to promote the company on the online events, because sometimes you can hire a booth, for example, on Medica, what's coming up, or Bio Europe events. You could use this money for those goals. When traveling is allowed again in Europe, well, this summer Europe opens, we all are hoping for that, then it's possible to visit contacts in other regions, and you can declare your public transport fares. Also some car rental, etc., parking costs, and accommodation costs, including breakfast. Unfortunately, not food and drinks, because we cannot argument that enough to the Interreg project office, but well, breakfast should be okay. So those are the expenses you can make for this connection vouchers. Yeah, it's a small help, 500 euros, but I think it could help you getting access to contacts. The support vouchers have a little bit of a different goal. What we try to achieve is that when you have a contact, that you can start to learn this other contact, and that you can have a little bit of a feeling, could this work together in a collaboration? Huh? So with this support vouchers, it's only 1,500 euros, but you could ask for a 1 or 2 day support of a service provider in another region, depending on the hour rate, of course. And for example, you can ask them for a more in-depth offer for the service you need. So you get a really good overview of what it would cost if you would use the expanded service. So that's something you could use this 1,500 euros about. Or maybe ask for a consultant who could give you an overview about the new Brexit regulations, for example. Or you maybe will get some first insights for reimbursement in another country, or maybe some market insights. Well, it's depending on, of course, your need, but there are different possibilities, and this 1,500 euros is a little bit of sewing money to get things started. So that's the way you have to look at it, but maybe it could help you to grow to the next step. Also, maybe lists of possible suppliers. Sometimes we get questions from companies. They want to start, for example, in the German market, but they really don't know how to start, how the reimbursement works, where are the distributors for specific products, and so on. So therefore, it could be helpful as well. So when you're not located in a Boost4Health region, it's not well, then you still have a possibility to use the vouchers, but then the other way around, then you can register as a service provider, and you could get some business out of this. So it's also an opportunity to promote yourself internationally via the Boost4Health website. So don't hesitate and register yourself as a service provider. Maybe you will be found by another SME, and maybe you can get some business out of it. So this was actually my short presentation, and maybe someone has some questions.
Yeah, thanks a million, Ria. And I'm not sure if it was my screen. There was something funny with some of your slides there, but I think we got the message. You seem to be zoomed up or something. But anyway, I think we got the message, and thank you very much. And anybody who has any questions, please put them in the Q&A, and you can pick them up later on. Maybe Ria, if any questions come in the chat. And I think my colleague Alison will flag us if there are any questions in those chats. But thank you very much. And I think, like what you mentioned, we will hear some of the SMEs and service providers later on making their pitches, and maybe there's a possibility there for us to make some international collaborations and partnerships.
It's strange that the slides showed funny, because in my screen it was perfectly okay.
Yeah, I know that.
So it was not that I made funny slides or something.
I don't think so. Maybe it was my settings. I'm not too sure. But thank you very much, Ria. Much appreciated. And
okay.
I think we'll move on to the next speaker. And the next speaker is Alan Hobbs, who's the manager of the high potential startups in life sciences and industrial in Enterprise Ireland. And Alan is going to discuss with us an introduction to the Irish life science ecosystem. So the floor is yours, Alan. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Ewan, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Can you just confirm that the screen has been shared there?
Yeah, perfect.
It has, great. Okay. So yeah, I work with the High Potential Startup Division of Enterprise Ireland. It's an Irish government agency, which many of the participants here will be familiar with. And we help start, grow, scale Irish companies across all sectors. The team I work with in particular would look after life science and industrial clean tech, also consumer goods, but the vast majority of them are in the life science sector. So in Enterprise Ireland, we work with over 5,000 companies across all business sectors. We have a budget of over £500 million, and that was inflated somewhat last year because of the sustaining enterprise funds provided by the EU and the Irish government to help deal with the challenges of COVID-19. The companies we invest in are the most innovative companies in Ireland, and the way we support companies initially is by way of equity, and we're, according to PitchBook last year, the largest VC in Europe, and that's by deal number and not deal amount and size. So we have a mandate to drive collaboration and commercialization of research, state-funded research, and we're also the national contact point for Horizon Europe and EIC European supports. We have 40 offices around the world, and we also have responsibility for remote investment in food. It's one of the anomalies of the Irish state economic system. So in terms of last year, unfortunately, 2020 figures are being released by our communications office this afternoon. So in 2019, we had quite significant growth of 8% right across the world. Obviously, the higher rate growths in places where we have less exports like North America, Asia Pac. But what's reassuring there when I look at this slide is in the UK, where the UK historically has been responsible for over 50% of our exports. We've managed to kind of diversify significantly over the last 8 years, and it's now down to 31%, but it's still the most important market that we have, and hugely significant in light of what happened through Brexit. So it continues to be a significant challenge, but overall a good story on exports and indeed jobs. So one thing that's not readily known is that Enterprise Ireland-backed companies in Ireland employ directly over 220,000 people. And that's quite significant because there's also a multiplier of jobs associated with those companies. And that means that in every town and village in Ireland, there are significant numbers of people employed by companies backed by Enterprise Ireland. So sometimes the Indigenous sector doesn't get the recognition it deserves because we're primarily a B2B play. We don't have the big names of consumer products on our portfolios that we use on a day-to-day basis. So people are not as familiar with the companies that we back, but it's really important, the economic contribution that they're making right throughout the country. So how do we define a HPSU? Well, it's essentially a company with an innovative product or service that has scalable potential globally. And at a very minimum, we look at companies that can go to 10 jobs or 1 million sales within 3 years of corporation. That does fluctuate somewhat, especially in life science. And I know some of the participants I can see on the call here will be looking at me saying, listen, we'd be lucky to have a product within 3 years and it's not to mind regulatory approval. So if we do push that bar out for life science, and it tends to take a lot more cash as well to get those companies to that stage. In terms of how we finance startups, well, we have pre-seed supports like New Frontiers, which is an entrepreneur development program. There's feasibility study grants, there's mentoring assistance. We have a kind of an early stage competitive start fund that's not suitable for everyone, but it's there for anyone that wants to apply. And we'll offer 50k support for 10% equity. I heard the last presenter, Ria, there talk about the vouchers, and innovation vouchers, I think, is an initiative that we kind of stole from the Dutch, and we've made it our own because we roll out hundreds of these each year to try and I suppose encourage collaboration between small companies and the third level, which historically they had a barrier there because of the fear of working with a third level as a very small company. This breaks down that barrier and allows them to engage and get some substantial work done with the third level system. And then the core support we have is our seed round investment. And again, 100k, that's very low. That would be more on the ICT side. We would operate at a much higher level than that. But we go in the form of equity. And then we also do follow-on round investments, typically up to Series A. But it depends on how much fuel's in the tank from our perspective and the economic development agenda of the company. So when we look at investor ready, the kind of things we're looking for is really that you have a grasp of the products that you're working with that has some market validation. It may not be a physical product that's ready to go, but you have the validation of that idea. And we have a fantastic program in life science called BioInnovate, run on your doorstep there, with NUIG. And that's a significant clinical immersion program where we fund fellowships for up to 9 months to just go in and observe ways of doing things better, or maybe producing products that will do things better in the clinical environment. And then following that, if you have an idea that you think will kind of run to commercialization, we have commercialization funding, which is run through our research and innovation division. And that's where we fund the project through the college, and it gives you the freedom to work for a couple of years on really validating your idea and getting out there with the key opinion leaders to test that what you have is really something that the market would value, and that it's not just a problem looking, or a solution looking for a problem. It's something that's addressing a real unmet clinical need. And the other things we look for is that you have that product roadmap, you have funding in the tank for 18 months minimum. Our investment committee are very keen that the projects are properly funded, and that you know what that journey looks like. So in terms of the kind of state-supported mechanisms, that Enterprise Ireland is involved with all of these, and your own organisation there, the Business Incubation Centres, is hugely important, not just on the west, but down in Cork and Dublin and the southeast, and they provide invaluable supports to early stage HBSUs, and our own division wouldn't be able to operate without the support from your own teams in the Business Incubation Centres. The local enterprise office tends to be the first call for all entrepreneurs in Ireland, and the local enterprise offices operate out through every county in Ireland. We fund the tech transfer offices, and their job is to really identify kind of commercial research coming out of universities. We have a New Frontiers, I mentioned earlier, it's a national development entrepreneur program, and then we fund a number of regional accelerators throughout the country. So in terms of the ecosystem out there, a huge amount of support and a huge amount of effort's gone in to try and make the journey of an entrepreneur as easy as possible. There's a massive amount of support from multinationals, from Irish companies. There's entrepreneurship programs run by many agencies, run by private companies, the Dogpatch Labs, the National Research Development Centre, Digital Research Centre, New Frontiers. We also have collaboration with, I know one of the speakers coming up, Martin, very well, and the HSE have been incredibly helpful to the life science sector in Ireland, and never more so than the last 18 months, where we've had accelerated development of innovation from a number of our portfolio companies, because they've been able to bring rapid response, agile innovation into the HSE, and the guys there have been really good about opening the doors and validating those technologies and adopting them. So we've great companies that will help the HSE with their shift left strategy to community care, to care at the home. Companies like Blue Drop Medical, companies like Patient Empower, Wallola, Novalia. There's many companies there that the guys have been really helpful with. And then also our partnership with the VCs and the banks. Well, not so much the banks for startups, but with the VCs and with the Angel Network, the Halo Angel Business Angel Network, the MedTech syndicates, Iris Boole, all of these guys, really important parts of that ecosystem. So if we look at there, as I said, there's a due diligence process that we go through. So very quickly, we do it on 3 levels. It's a financial due diligence, technical, and commercial. So we do a deep dive into all those areas to check that the project goes that stacks up. And then once we have all that in place, we'll bring a proposal document to our investment committee, where ultimately a decision to invest rests with that committee. And that committee comprises of industry experts and senior executives of the leadership team of Enterprise Ireland. In terms of how we invest, we do it through a standard instrument. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's a cumulative convertible redeemable preference share. It's a way for us to put money against the business plan up front. So we're not asking you to spend money and then claim back grant. We can invest in the early stage when you need it most. However, if there are, well, there has to be other investors involved, but typically we will also seek to look at their vehicles and their instruments, and we will not be disadvantaged. So we tend to match the terms, conditions, and the instruments of what we would term a qualified investor. And a qualified investor is essentially somebody who invests for a living. So we used to use the word professional, and people got upset about that because everybody sees themselves as being professional, but we say qualified investor, which means somebody who invests for a living, and we tend to kind of mirror their terms and conditions. We're trying to make it as easy as possible, but we also don't want to disadvantage the state as an investor. Okay, so that's a slide to really kind of wreck your heads out there. That shows you the depth and the breadth of supporters out there in the ecosystem for startups. Everything right across the country, from the banks, from the VCs, incubators, there's multinational companies there. Interesting, a lot of multinational companies now have partnered with EI. So we have Amazon, we have Google, we have Stripe, and HubSpot, all offering supports for startups and helping them kind of grow, helping them access really leading edge software and marketplace systems. Not for every sector, but really, really helpful supports for certain sectors. Here's some examples of some of the different support networks, the entrepreneur groups, the from Planet Women Academy, the Next Web, Dublin Globe, Startup Ireland, and that's really important. And there's a new website that we've launched called startinireland.com, which is going to help you navigate the support network, because as you can see from those slides, it's really, really confusing. And the startinireland.com website will allow you plug in the kind of company you are, the sector you operate in, the geography you're located in, and it should throw up a lot of solutions or suggestions for people that you need to engage with. So just very quickly, the startup sector in Ireland, we do about 90 investments a year. So it is about 30% in the broader industrial life sciences, 60% software, fintech. And then in terms of where startups come from, we get a lot of professionals coming out of multinationals, overseas multinationals based here. We have 40% or thereabouts from Indigenous Irish companies spinning out. We get about 15% from overseas and 12% from the third level. So a good mix of projects and sources of entrepreneurs there. So I'll stop there, Ewan, and happy, like Ria and the other speakers, maybe to take questions later or now or whenever you think it's the best.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much. That was fantastic. You squeezed an awful lot into a short time there. Interesting to see that collaboration with the HSE, and we'll hear Martin very shortly. And the other thing is, I think what you showed there will give our partners in Europe an idea of what the Irish ecosystem looks like. And it is quite an ecosystem to navigate, and we'll hear from Andrew later on as to how he managed to navigate some of that. But that was very interesting. I think there was one question in the chat from Margot in Germany, and Margot asks, I assume the grants from Enterprise Ireland are dedicated to Irish startups only?
No, it depends how you define an Irish startup. So, Margot, we'd be delighted to talk to you if you're willing to move your business to Ireland. So we also fund international startups that move their business to Ireland. We're not asking you to displace something, but we're asking you to start in Ireland. So for companies with less than 10 people, typically it's less than 5. So it's usually a founder or 2 and a couple of first employees. If they're kind of open to maybe setting up their business here and growing their business out of Ireland, well, then we can certainly consider it. So what we look for is essentially the control and the risk taking that has to be in Ireland. Many of our companies have foreign investors, so technically they're foreign owned. However, the CEO, the founder, the CTO, the CMO, COO are based in Ireland. We consider them an Irish company, and we can invest in those companies also.
Okay, thanks a million, Alan. And one other question. Yes, Margaret says thanks. Good to know. And one other question from Eva is: will the slides be provided to the participants of the webinar? So yeah, with the speaker's permission, we will provide all of the slides afterwards to the participants. So for the moment, they're the only questions in the chat. So thanks again, Alan. And I'll move swiftly on to the next speaker. The next speaker is going to talk about the Irish healthcare system, and we have Martin Curley, who's the Director of the Digital Transformation and Open Innovation at the Health Service Executive here in Ireland, the HSE, and he's just going to talk about understanding the Irish healthcare system. So the floor is yours, Martin.
Great, Ewan. Actually, I cannot yet share my screen. Maybe Alan, if you could transfer, okay, transfer control to me.
Okay, I think Alan has unshared his screen, so you should be able to share, yeah.
Right, can I just check that everybody can see my screen?
Okay, yeah, we can see, yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're on.
Right, okay. So thanks, Ria and Alan, for a great presentation. So I want to quickly introduce the Irish healthcare system, and specifically what we're doing around digital transformation system. And we collaborate very closely with Enterprise Ireland and Alan and his team, and we're very grateful for that collaboration. So I'll move very quickly through my slides. So healthcare is on average about a decade behind other industries in digitalizing, And Ireland itself actually is 2 or 3 years behind kind of mainstream Europe. So we have a lot of catch up to do. But in that context, we have a lot of disruptive technologies all showing up at the same time, from cloud to mobile and social to Internet of Things to big data to machine learning and artificial intelligence to blockchain. And all this is leading to a perfect storm. So there's a really big opportunity to grasp these technologies and transform healthcare. So what we're doing in Ireland is we have a leapfrog strategy. Right now, we're over on the left-hand side of this screen where we have a system that's primarily paper-based. It's presence-based. You have to go to a hospital to have care. And all the care is primarily based in our acute hospitals. We want to leapfrog sort of the installation of big monolithic electronic health records. And we want to leap to a system that is digital, that is home and community-based, that is data-based, it's based on remote monitoring, it's based on proactive and predictive healthcare, it's cloud-based, is open source where possible, is integrated, is social, it's mobile, and it's AI-enabled. And the fact is, we think that actually the overall cost of the healthcare system, if we adopt this approach, will be significantly lower than the current cost of maintaining the systems. So we've built a roadmap, the Digital Health Capability Maturity Framework, and we're actually working with Enterprise Ireland to build this out. And we started actually at level 1 at a very basic level. And through COVID, we reckon that we have lifted one maturity level. But our goal by 2025 or early 2026 is to be the European leader in digital healthcare. And we note that the Dutch are very much considered a leader, as are Estonia, but we've been collaborating with some Dutch government officials to see how we might be able to share and accelerate our progress. So we have 5 pillars to our digital innovation strategy. I'll just note some highlights. We have a digital transformation strategy developed. I'm going to share that with you because it'll be important, particularly for the SMEs that want to partner with us and sell to us. We've created a master's in digital health transformation where we primarily have doctors and nurses and physicians and pharmacists and so on. You're learning about digital health, and the most important part of this is that they're developing digital change projects, and we've just had our first graduates from that program, and we had 21 digital change projects developed as part of the masters, and 18 of them are viable and actually are moving ahead to implementation, if not already implemented. We have a digital innovation portfolio of greater than 50 disruptive technologies that we're managing, and I'll be encouraging the SMEs on this call to submit their solutions and proposal to us later on in my presentation. We have 15 living labs in place. We have a strategy called Stay Left, Shift Left, which I'll share in a second. And we also run a quarterly Digital Academy Forum where we share and spread and solutionize new digital solutions. So the HSE is responsible for healthcare delivery in Ireland. There are about 130,000 employees, both direct and indirect employees, but previously it was impenetrable. It was absolutely impossible, particularly for Irish SMEs, to sell into the HSE, never mind partnering. But we've taken a new approach. We've adopted an approach called Open Innovation 2.0. I wrote a book on this a couple of years ago with a colleague from the European Commission. And we've actively started to stimulate a system, and we're really starting to get results. We won the global award from the International Chambers of Commerce for public sector innovation last year, and we won a number of awards in the Irish Healthcare Award. So we're starting to see results. Our overall strategy is something we call Stay Left, Shift Left. Stay Left is about using technology to keep well people well in their homes, or if you happen to have a chronic condition, you can be managed best of all from home. Shift Left is about moving patients as quickly as possible from an acute to a community to a home setting. And each time we look at digital in interventions, we're trying to improve 4 characteristics or 4 vectors. We want to reduce the cost of care, improve the quality of care, improve quality of life, and improve clinician experience. And all the time we're doing this, we're very often seeing at least 3 of those 4 vectors are improved. So here's just a snapshot of some of the companies that we're working with. You'll notice that actually the critical mass of the companies we work with are on the left-hand side of this. So they're home community-based solutions. But we also have other solutions, very significant solutions. And just to highlight one solution, we're working with an EI company called Synchrify, and we're delivering vital signs automation. And currently we have a significant living lab in Cavan, and we hope to roll out this technology to the RCSI group and then nationally over the next year and a half. We have a vibrant ecosystem working with large and small companies, and we found this to be equally valuable. But with smaller companies, they tend to be more agile and we can actually move more quickly. So we have created a network of what we call digital living labs across the country, and that's from sort of Northern Ireland Union in your territory in Letterkenny, for example, where we are developing a registry for emergency general surgery patients and hoping to create an AI system that will inform surgeons in real time and help guide a decision whether they need to operate or not. And across the country, we have different living labs, and I'll give some examples now in a second. We manage an innovation funnel. Technologies go across 4 phases: the exploration phase, the proof of concept phase, the demonstrator phase, and finally broad adoption. Just to show how COVID has been an accelerator for us, this is what our funnel looked like pre-COVID, and this is what it looks like right now. So it's heavily populated, and we found COVID being a real enabler and accelerator for digital and innovation. So just a couple of examples of the innovations and the companies we've worked with. So we worked with a company called Patient Empower. So within the first week of COVID, and when we just had 33 cases, we were able to co-design a solution for remote monitoring of COVID. And just 5 weeks later, we had the solution deployed across the country. And typically an innovation like this in the past might have taken 2 to 2.5 years to be proliferated across the country, but we got broad adoption within 5 weeks. So that's a small Irish SME called Patient Empower. Similarly, around the same time, we introduced the technology from an Irish company called PMD Solutions into Beaumont Hospital, and we created a living lab there. And the idea is that we could wirelessly transmit respiration rate from the patient's bedside to a nurse's station, and they could look at the trends for the respiration rate. And importantly for COVID, we were able to produce clinical data that showed having the system in place gave us 12 hours notice of a hypoxic event with a patient when a patient would seriously deteriorate. So we're now almost completed in rolling out this technology to all the acute hospitals. And again, a program like this in the past might have taken 3 years to be adopted nationally. And we've gone from 2 sites, Cork and Beaumont, to 25 sites in a period of about 10 weeks. So this is the level of agility. Both of these technologies barely existed before we started the deployment, and we were able to do co-design and integrate it into the process flow in hospitals and in community care. Here's another example of a technology that we've been testing in a living lab. It's a small Irish startup called Acara from Trinity College, and what you're seeing the robot do here is doing ultraviolet decontamination of radiology room. And to give you an idea of the agility, this is now working. It's a professional. This isn't, say, a major hospital in the US. This is a hospital in the Midlands of Ireland. But this is the technology that the team presented to me about a year ago. And they came in actually just with a drawing. And I asked the team, well, can you come back with a prototype? And that's Conor McGinn standing beside me. And within 48 hours, they brought this prototype into me. And since it has evolved, and what we find, it is 5 to 10 times faster than human cleaning teams. It's 3 times more effective, and it's 2.5 times cheaper. What we're finding is digital solutions are very much, we're getting 10x benefits, 10x improvement in care, 10x reduction in cost, and so on. So we have a whole portfolio of disruptive technologies that we're managing, from drone delivery to avatars to mobile X-ray technology, and so on. So what I'm delighted to have the opportunity to present today, I want to sort of offer the potential for you to register your solution and your technology with us. If you can go to www.hsedigitaltransformation.ie, you can register your solution under the digital innovation call. And I want to finish with just a case study of one of the companies that submitted a technology to us under our digital COVID call. And that's a company called My Patient Space. And they are providing agile and rapid delivery of patient apps. They have built a rapid configuration, no-code environment. They create digital patient companion and for multiple disease apps, and they also provide a clinician interface. So we've just signed off a contract with My Patient Space that's led by an entrepreneur called Una Kearns, and we're currently have a fairly significant living lab with Una and her team, covering seven different areas of clinical care, from sleep to respiratory to rheumatology, hematology, oncology, chronic kidney disease, and cancer clinical studies. And this is very much on the way. One of the key trends that we know is patient taking co-responsibility for their care. We think this product will be a game changer for allowing patients to, or empowering patients to take better care of themselves. And we think there will be very significant patient outcomes. So I wanted to, finish. You are mainly small companies, but actually small companies can have a really big impact. And Ilya Prigozhin, he says, in an unstable complex system, small islands of coherence have the potential to change the whole system. So I'd encourage you to work with us in the HSE to see if there's a pathway for adoption of your solution, and you can register your solution at hsedigitaltransformation.ie. Thank you, and I'll hand you back to you now.
Thank you very much, Martin. That was an excellent presentation and an excellent opportunity for SMEs to register their technologies and their solutions with you. So hopefully they will take you up on that offer. There was a question in the chat. There was a question. Where is it now?
Yeah, Ewan, we had John who asked, has COVID-19 made it easier or more difficult for startups to enter the complex healthcare market with innovative products?
Did you get that, Martin? I
did, yeah. I would think it's easier because the barrier for adoption of digital solutions has gone down dramatically. Unfortunately, sort of healthcare systems are designed to actually minimize variation. So this is one of the reasons why it's very difficult to penetrate, say, an organization like the HSE. But with the coming of COVID, it really dropped the barriers. Necessity is the mother of invention. So we needed to kind of break the glass ceiling around digital innovations. And now that we have created these pathways for digital innovation, it's easier for other startups to follow in those paths. So I think it's certainly easier, and we've proven the business case for digital. So it's definitely a more promising landscape for entrepreneurs now.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin. Alison, were there any other questions that I missed there?
Nope, that's everything now, Ewan.
Okay, so that's great, and thanks again, Martin. And if anybody else has any questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and if there are any outstanding at the end, we'll try to deal with them. So we'll proceed now to a case study of a growing SME, sort of typical of some of the types of companies we just mentioned there. And as I said, Andrew Cameron has navigated some of that territory already, and he is the founder of FieldTech, and he has a product called Tight All Right. So I'll hand you over to Andrew.
Thanks very much, Ewan. Can you see my slides okay?
Can see them all right. It's not in presentation. Yes, no, that's great. Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Andrew Cameron. I'm the CEO of FieldTech, which is a connected health startup based in Galway. And hopefully I can put a little bit of what the previous speakers have mentioned today into context, just from the perspective of our own commercialization journey. So we're developing Tight All Right, which is a connected health technology for providing disruptive improvements to wound care. And we began our journey in the BioInnovate Ireland program, where we spent 10 months identifying unmet clinical needs, making thousands of observations in numerous Irish hospitals, as well as the Mayo Clinic in the USA. It was during our time in these hospitals that we met a number of patients who had terrible wounds on their legs, and some had been present for over 30 years, treated but never healed. So this is where we first witnessed the harsh reality of venous leg ulcers. These painful chronic wounds affect 11.5 million people globally each year, causing extreme social, psychological, and physical impacts on patients, and severely affecting their quality of life. They're caused by a failure of the veins in the leg, which results in pooling of fluid and a breakdown of tissue. So 56% of these wounds have delayed healing, and 30% of ulcers don't actually heal within a year. This is despite the availability of a gold standard treatment, compression therapy. The ability of compression to restore venous flow is essential for effective healing. In fact, studies have actually shown that there's a linear relationship between the pressure applied and healing rates. Unfortunately, in reality, it's just not that easy. Currently, there's a 90% failure to achieve targeted pressure in clinical practice. Even if you apply the correct amount of pressure, you can lose up to 50% within the first 72 hours because of a reduction in swelling. And non-compliance rates are up to 80% in the community settings. Furthermore, the recent COVID pandemic has left many patients without their usual provision of care, providing a 20-fold increase in the risk of hospitalization. The average cost of treating a venous leg ulcer in Germany is 8,660 euros, just to give you an indication of how much these cost. And 80% of this is actually related to the nurse's time. These wounds are consuming 1% of all healthcare spending in industrialized nations. What's even more concerning is that recent studies have shown that in the last 5 years, the number of venous leg ulcers have doubled, while healing rates have decreased by 20%. Essentially, hospital systems are unable to cope with the prevalence and lack of trained personnel. So there's a critical need for a way to increase healing rates and reduce workload in venous leg ulcer treatment for reduced costs and improved patient outcomes. To address this unmet need, FieldTech has developed Tight All Right, the first connected health technology for measuring and monitoring compression therapy. The point-of-care solution includes a wearable device and mobile app, ensuring consistent application of gold standard compression, thereby reducing healing times. Our supporting digital platform enables remote monitoring, self-management, and digital optimization of care, thereby reducing workloads. FieldTech's IP strategy includes a pipeline of patents aimed at protecting a leading position in the market for monitoring wound treatments. This not only includes the unique device design, which enables wearability, accuracy, and comfort to the patient, but also the data transfer system, which facilitates capture, processing, and correlation of multiple factors of wound treatment in an anonymized and consented manner. We intend to be the leading company for delivering data-driven solutions in the wound market. Based on preliminary data, we predict a 30% reduction in healing time, a 34% reduction in intervention frequency, and a 53% reduction in treatment costs, as well as a significant improvement to the patient's quality of life. The point-of-care technology is superior to any existing competitors, such as inaccurate tension indicators or impractical and expensive handheld devices, while the digital platform provides unparalleled capabilities to remotely monitor and optimize treatment. The market value for Tight All Right in the USA and Europe is 1.4 billion euros, but this does not include other indications that use compression therapy, including lymphedema or other regions of interest, such as Asia. Furthermore, there's huge additional value to the data captured, demonstrated by the explosion in the market for health analytics and the steady growth of the market for digital wound monitoring. Our B2B model will sell a combination of hardware and software products to our target customers, who represent multi-site integrated care organizations, allowing for rapid scaling with value-based outcome reimbursement models. Our target users are delayed healing patients, and we're already developing strategic partnerships with large multinational wound companies who represent potential market channels or exit opportunities. We're already in negotiations with 2 major players for joint development projects, which are currently under confidentiality agreements. From our financial projections, we anticipate that by 2025, we'll be generating over 10 million euros in annual revenue with a gross margin of 59% and a net profit of 44%. We're currently closing a seed round of 900,000 euros to enter the US market with beachhead customers as a Class 1 technology in Q4 of 2021. We intend our seed round to be made up of a combination of private investors and support from Enterprise Ireland through their High Potential Startup Scheme. We're also exploring other match funding opportunities, such as investment through the Western Development Commission. We've already commenced work with a number of high-profile US key opinion leaders to support this market entry, and subsequent rounds of 2 million euros and 3.5 million euros will finalize the digital platform and position the full technology suite for scalable launch in targeted markets across the USA and Europe, including Germany, Netherlands, and the UK. To date, we've been very fortunate to be supported by a number of Irish and European agencies, starting with Enterprise Ireland. From day one, they were supporting the BioInnovate program, where we identified the unmet clinical need. They then provided the funding for the commercialization fund to develop the clinical, commercial, and technical elements of the project within NUI Galway. Once we left the university, we entered the company full-time, and EI continued their support with the Competitive Start Fund, as well as other mechanisms. I should point out that the WestBIC were a huge asset in helping us to prepare for these submissions to the EI schemes, such as the CSF and the HPSU, and we're extremely grateful for their contribution to our success with these opportunities. EIT Health were another big support for us with multiple mechanisms. Head Start was our company's first injection of direct funds. Their mentoring programs are great, and currently we're running for a number of European-wide opportunities with Catapult and the BP 2022 consortium. The NDRC Accelerator program, which is now run by Dogpatch Labs, not only provided valuable mentoring and bridge funding, it also expanded our network in the digital space and helped refine our business model with new perspectives. The Health Innovation Hub Ireland is an awesome resource for healthcare startups, helping to connect innovations into the Irish healthcare system. They were instrumental in helping us achieve our first clinical validation, which has been invaluable in our commercialization journey. Some of the other opportunities that we've utilized include international accelerator programs, such as H+, which gave us great insights into the German healthcare market, as well as Intertrade Ireland Seed Corn competition. For any startups looking to write a business plan or refine their existing business plan, this competition and the associated coaching will help immensely. We're about to enter our 3rd year, and just going through the process has strengthened our proposal orders of magnitude each time. Internally, we're backed by an experienced and well-rounded management team. I have a background in tissue engineering and research commercialization. Darren has a background in medtech quality and R&D. Gary is Professor of Anatomy at NUI Galway, and Stuart has 20+ years of commercial healthcare experience, including executive roles in numerous multinational companies. Our advisors include a panel of internationally recognized and respected key opinion leaders in the clinical and marketing sectors of wound care. So in summary, venous leg ulcers represents a large and growing market, providing an unsustainable economic burden to global healthcare systems. Tigerite is the first connected health technology for providing disruptive improvements to venous leg ulcer treatment, enabling reduced healing times and improved efficiencies of care, which are translatable to multiple indications. Our business model will target a combination of hardware and software products at multi-site integrated care organizations, starting in the USA. Today, we've reached design freeze of our point of care technology, and we've identified and costed manufacturing partners within Ireland to bring us through design for manufacturing and testing. We've just received our first patient data with extremely promising results for reducing burden on patients and healthcare systems. And we have a growing number of clinical and industry stakeholders that are looking to see our product market ready. Finally, we're about to close our €900,000 seed fund to achieve market entry of our point of care technology. At FieldTech, we have an ambition to realise the full potential of compression therapy through safety, efficacy, and empowerment, and we're very appreciative to anyone helping us reach that ambition. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That was fantastic, and again, it's always refreshing to hear the story from an entrepreneur's point of view, and I hope things continue to work out for you, and I hope that those negotiations that you're going through at the moment, that they're fruitful. I'm just having a look to see, or maybe Alison, are there any questions in the chat or in the Q&A?
There's actually none directly for Andrew. We just have one asking, will we get a recording of this webinar later?
Okay, well,
there is a question for Andrew. There is a question for Andrew, but it's not in the Q&A chat. It's in the normal chat. And the question is for Andrew, for your production needs, will these be fully manufactured in Ireland or elsewhere?
Yes, it's a good question. At the moment, we're sort of down to our last couple opportunities for manufacturing partners, and we're negotiating those contracts. We are looking abroad. We have a couple very qualified Irish contenders, but we're open to all opportunities, to be honest. So yeah, we haven't made that final decision yet.
Okay.
Okay, thanks Ria, and thanks Alison, and thank you indeed, Andrew. I don't think there are any other questions at this point. Now, we still have some time for questions, but I'd like to proceed maybe with our final section, and please hang on for this because this is very important. We have five SMEs, and some of them are service providers as well, that want to do a 30-second pitch to the audience here. I'll tell you who they are first, and this is the order in which they're going to do the 30-second pitch. I have David Egan from Core Life Analytics. I have Greer Deal from Med Didaya. I have Marlene de Vries in Avivia. I have Dermot Cahalan from European Device Solutions. And I have Nicola Wall from Fortiori Development Limited. So I will start right away, and I see David is with us. So David, you've got 30 seconds to tell us about your offering. Thanks.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name's David Egan. I'm the CEO of Core Life Analytics. We're based here in the Netherlands in Den Bosch. And what I want to talk to you today is about 3D analytics for 3D biology. So we solve a problem for biologists who are using a technology called high content screening. And obviously we don't have time to go in detail, but basically they use automated microscopy to generate images of cells, and then they use automated image analysis to generate numeric data. Here's where the problem comes in. They end up swamped with numeric data, and they didn't have the tools to analyze it until we developed an online data analytics platform called StrataMiner that allows biologists to analyze their own complex data. Now, one of the biological technologies that is being increasingly used for drug discovery and for high content screening is what we call 3D biology, or organoids. Now, traditionally, cells were tested in, let's say, a very simple 2D modular system. But increasingly, people are switching to 3D systems where you have a three-dimensional cellular structure, and these are much more physiologically relevant. So you can see the effects of cell-to-cell contacts, you have better concordance with in vivo data, and you can reduce animal testing. So
hi, David, we're well over the 30 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, no worries. So what we have found is we have found a potential collaborator in Dublin, a service provider who we'd like to get a voucher in order to get his services to generate some data, some evaluation data and proof of principle data for 3D biology. Jeremy Simpson, he has a cell screening facility in UCD in Dublin.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. Now, the next person on our list is Greer Deal from Med Dia. Do we have you, Greer? And I don't know if I have your, do I have your name proper there? Did I pronounce your name?
We can hear you. We can hear
great.
you.
It's Medidia.
Okay, thanks, Greer.
Maybe David can stop sharing his screen.
I don't have a presentation. I'll just talk, so that's fine.
Yes, but I don't
we'd
see
like
you.
to see you.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe David.
Okay, David,
can stop
could you
sharing?
unshare, please? I know it's hard to find sometimes. It might be at the top of the screen.
Yeah, in the top of the screen it is. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Greer, off you go.
Thank you very much. So good morning, everyone. Every day we're having to face new diseases and new challenges to patients and our healthcare systems. It is critical that we advance medical technology to overcome these challenges and to underpin a healthcare system that we can all be proud of worldwide. So we need innovators like you. But imagine a scenario where regulations actually restrict your innovations. Please don't let regulations hold back your innovation. At Medidia, we will help you to navigate the regulatory pathway through to success and be your regulatory partners for devices, diagnostics, and digital health. Thank you.
Okay, Greer, thank you very much. And we will share everyone's details afterwards as well with the participants. So thanks a million for that, Greer. The next person we have is Marlene de Vries from Avivia.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Marlene.
Hi, hello. My name is Marlene. I'm a project manager at Avivia, and we're located in Nijmegen, the Netherlands. We are an independent research organization, and we're specialized in drug formulation development. So not development of the API, but actually the formulation around it to make it a product you can put on the shelf. This includes, for example, new formulations, but also reformulation, repurposing, repositioning, and deformulation of existing products or products which are no longer available for various reasons. We are a small company, only 15 FTE, which makes us very lean and flexible. We have both a pharmaceutical and an analytical lab, and they're both functioning at R&D level, which allows us to be very flexible and fast and to work on a broad range of projects. We are typical problem solvers, and we like to work on challenging projects. And our clients range varies from universities, SMEs, up to big pharma. We can manage drug development projects and can provide support for specific small parts in a client's project, but we can also do a complete development project up to marketing authorization. This webinar is a chance for us to broaden our network for both new clients, but also network partners for maybe future projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marlene. And our next speaker will be Dermot Cahalan from European Device Solutions. Are you with us there, Dermot?
Yes. Good morning. Thank you, Ewan. Thanks
Morning.
very much for this opportunity. It's an excellent forum and a very well organized presentation so far. So I think it's been very useful to all of the participants. I just wanted to mention that for early stage medical technology companies, we believe it's very important to be able to fulfill 3 criteria. You need to be able to identify an unmet medical need, demonstrate clinical utility, and have the support and endorsement of key opinion leaders. And obviously people mention regulatory compliance. We believe that it starts earlier than that. You need to classify what kind of technology you have and determine whether or not it is actually a medical device. That links back into what we call your intended use statement, which we can help you to craft. 30 seconds is really short. So I'd just like to suggest that if anybody participating today would like some free consulting, I'm happy to offer that to any of the participants on the call today, where we can get a more closer picture of what they want to do and then help them and direct them in identifying key opinion leaders, assisting them access funding, and also develop a regulatory framework for their product or innovation. Thanks very much, Ewan, and well done to everybody.
Okay, thanks, Dermot. And our last 30-second presenter is Nicola Wall from A Fortiori Development Limited. Are you with us there, Nicola?
I am. Thanks, Ewan, and it's lovely to see a few familiar faces. Hi, Andrew. So I'm Nicola Wall. I'm the CEO of A Fortiori Development, and we're a full-service clinical research organisation. So in the jargon of the industry, a CRO means that we help companies to design and plan and actually effectively manage their clinical trials of all shapes and sizes. So we've been working with companies in the medical product development space. So that means we work with medical device companies, digital health companies and drug companies. Essentially, helping those companies to obtain evidence that their products are safe and effective. So we are based here in the Watershed in Galway. We also have offices in the UK and in the US. So we've worked with so many wonderful companies here in the west of Ireland, and it's great to be able to be in that position to provide that help and work with companies on this really important journey that they're on. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Nicola. And I know some of the companies that we just heard from there are they are registered as service providers on the Boost4Health website. That's boost4health.eu is the website address. So any other service providers that would like to offer their services to SMEs, either in Ireland or in the European countries on the programme, please register on that website. Thank you very much. So thanks to all who made the pitches there. We've really come to the end of the event, but it's up to me to thank a few people. I'd like to thank the four main speakers. That's Ria, Alan, Martin, and Andrew. And I'd also like to thank the SMEs and service providers who just made those pitches. There were some interpretations of what 30 seconds is there, but I think we did okay. I'd like to thank all of my WestBIC colleagues that helped with this, in particular Niamh and Alison and Carmel, who are doing all sorts of things behind the scenes there, and were a huge support in the last few weeks leading up to this with the promotion and so on. Also our project partners, who are a great support as well, and we have people here from lots of different countries today. And thanks finally to Interreg Northwest Europe, who of course are funding this project. And thanks to all of you who attended as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to finish it up with that, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.
Great. Thank you very much, Ewan, for moderating this session. Good job.
Okay,
thanks, everyone.
Right, Ria. See you soon.